Okay, it's 4 o'clock. It's Monday, 30th of March, and we are starting with our closing webinar of Air Academy Training of Trainers program. The webinar part will be run by me, Mika, speaking at the moment, and then Hannes will continue in some minutes with the content. Today we are going to, the topics are, first of all, you will hear some statistics and a summary of the e-learning phases. The first and the second phase, I have collected some information to show you a bit how the course has developed during the last months. Hannes is going to talk about the development plans and give feedback on the development plans. Then we are going together have kind of summary about on the advanced intro, Jimmy and Yomi activities. Then we have some activities which are going to activate you as a participants, and be based on those we will have kind of micro conclusions of the third part of the Training of Trainers program. And then if we have any other business in the end, so we will have some time for that as well. And yes, we have been sending you last week some messages. We are in the middle of a global crisis because of the coronavirus, and that has changed quite a lot of our daily life all over the Europe, all over the actually I should say all over the world, almost on all continents. And yes, this situation hit us and our course a bit as well, but as I said some minutes ago before we were starting, that there has been a lot of action on the e-learning platforms, and I mean on the Training of Trainers platform, and also when you have been preparing the advanced intro activities. So there's been a lot of activities, so you are back to a bit on the more daily normal routines. Yes. Is there, Hannes, something that you would like to mention or say here before I continue?
Hello, everyone. I don't have anything to add. I hope that you are well, and let's survive this corona together. So I'm happy to see everyone online, and also very happy to see the activities that you are doing on the platform. But I think I will give the word over to you, Mika, and then when my time comes, then I will speak a bit more. Thank you.
All right, and I can see that there are more people arriving to the webinar, so welcome to all. I will open another other file, and then I'll continue. First of all, I said that I will show you some images and statistics from the last months, and one thing which is very important in e-learning courses for us, for the organizers, if we think now the course, this e-learning course. So for Hannes and me and the other people in Erika who have been organizing this. And we have been constantly following how the course is progressing. This will be also something that in future, when you are taking place as a trainers in e-learning environments, also in face-to-face trainings, you need to follow how the course is progressing. Different e-learning platforms have different kind of possibilities to follow the courses, how the participants, how the students are completing the activities, how active they have been, for example. Here is a graphic which is about the all activities since end of October. So we started in beginning of November the course, and in end of October you got the logins, and you got the possibility to start to test and proceed with the activities on the platform. And this is how the student views and student posts looks from last 6 months. So there are some peaks. For example, in beginning of December, when we were finishing the first e-learning phase, so you have been most active on the last week when you have been finishing and completing the activities there. The violet line here is about the student views, and then the orange is the student posts. And yeah, then we had some actually almost 2 months break. You had the face-to-face training, and then in beginning of February we started again. The difference now between the first and the second e-learning phase, you can see it very clearly that there's been less traffic in the or during the second e-learning phase. Maybe one reason can be that the platform is familiar to you. You know how things goes on, so you do not have to check things so many times and visit the platform. But in another image and statistic, which I will show you also, so you can see also the clear difference between these two e-learning phases. There's been also a difference between how we have organized these two e-learning phases. The first one was activities week by week. We opened the following week in the end of the previous week, and then this second e-learning phase, we have had more activities already from the beginning. So you have had possibilities to, in different way, to plan and check what are the activities, how much time you maybe have to reserve and book on your agendas to these activities. So this is one graphic, and this is one way to follow what happens in the or during the e-learning course. I would say that this is very normal to my experience from last 4 or 5 years when I've been running e-learning courses as a coach or a e-trainer. So this is a very normal. The graphic looks like this. The progress looks like this. And in the end, there is always the the last week when people want to finish and to get their all activities, exercises, tasks done. Let's take another photo or graphic then. This is now the well, actually you saw this part already, but this is how the second e-learning phase looks. So in the beginning, the start was a bit slow. Then you were on the second week already very active. Then it turned down, and now again. Actually, here you cannot see the last week because of the because Moodle didn't let me see the last week yesterday evening when I took these out. But this is the how it goes and how active you have been. But the amount of this posts, this tells quite a lot. The posts means that when you have been writing messages on the, for example, in the forums, or when you have been completing activities in different ways. So that's been almost every week up to 200 posts per week, and that's very good amount of posts from this size of group. And the views, each time when you change the activity or you look something new, so it will register that you have had a new view. Then there is of course one way to with simple numbers to follow. So here you can see with more clear numbers. But this is the week which starts and or the period ending week, and this here you can see, for example, that the week 8 March has been the most active one in student views, and then the 22nd March week, that's been the in student posts. It's been the most active week. Then if we look at the whole course, and now I have to find the right here. This is something that I have done manually, and I hope you can see this now. And let's take the first here. So this I have anonymized the participant names, but this is one kind of table that I can get, and we can get out also from the Moodle system, and this is how we can follow who has been completing activities, who not. And yesterday when I took out this, so if you look at the total number of activities and total number of green boxes and number ones, so it means that 32% of the activities has been completed, and we still have, well, you have a couple of weeks time to complete the activities. There are some persons, we have dropouts who have not been active during the second e-learning phase at all. That's also something that happens in all e-learning courses, so that's always expected. Actually, now when I look at the numbers who have been active in e-learning course, so that's actually quite high, and usually 10 to 20% maximum finish an e-learning course of those who start the e-learning courses. Depends, of course, on a bit on the e-learning course. Those who are completing the e-learning course, if it's a self-paced course where you do not have anything collaborative activities, or you do not have any communication, for example, webinars. So it means that the number is lower. In collaborative courses, the e-learning course that's a higher number who finish. There is more green on the first e-learning phase. We have 14 persons who completed all activities on the first e-learning phase. There are some activities that the completion percentage is 97, which means that only one person from the group didn't finish that activity. But here you can see also the difference that I was talking to you a couple of graphics ago, where I showed you that the participation, the amount of views and posts is higher during the first e-learning phase. So there is quite a lot of things to catch up still in this course, but you have time for that. Of course, there are now some activities, for example, this closing webinar, which could not be completed yet yesterday when I made this table. And then there is also, I ask you, and I will send a message about this, but I ask you to check that you have marked yourself completed on the webinars, if you have participated live the webinar, or if you have been watching the recording or listening the recording. So please check and go and check and mark yourself the completion mark on that activity, because there were some of these webinar activities where people had not marked themselves or had not marked that they have been there or been listening that. Okay, but with these kind of tools, you can follow the course and what happens and how the things are progressing. This is, of course, something that you have to do in a bit different ways in different courses. And for us, we have to follow, Hannes and me, and then Irena and me in the previous e-learning phase. So we had to follow this because there are certain criteria that the organizer Eric has set for this course, and when people can get a certificate from this training course. So this kind of statistics, numbers I wanted to show you at this point. If you have something that you want to ask, so please feel free to ask now, for example, or if you want to ask later, so that's also possible. Maybe someone is thinking now that that if we are going to contact all people with all these red marks and who has not been completing. So first of all, we try to encourage you to follow your participation yourself, of course. So please go and check if you have done all the activities. If you have not got automatic completion mark, so please read the the instructions, and then check if you have followed the instructions and if you have completed the activity as the instructions tells. But okay, and Lara is asking, how about the deadline of our group project? Will we be able to complete them? Yes, Lara, we are coming to this point when during this webinar, so you will get information about it. And there were instructions already in one of the Hannes messages that he sent you. But don't worry, you will have time to finish your group projects around the advanced intro and also on the development plans. Okay, but let's jump to the development plans, and I'll download the presentation of Hannes so he can continue with the development plans if you do not have anything else to ask. All right, but Hannes, please, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mika, and hello everybody also from my side who have joined in last minutes and so on. So I have some slides that I will show you and discuss a bit. And the first one that I'll start with are the development plans. So these are the questions that we also focused on the previous webinar and also the webinar before that. And these questions are up in the development plan wiki. So you each have your own country and the questions have not changed. So I will not stop on the questions per se, but I can make two conclusions from the development plans that are already up in there. So if you go to the wiki, then you will see that Estonia has started working with the development plan, and also there is work done by Spain. And these are in a way two good example countries because there have been many questions. So how do we do the development plans if there are more than one plan per country? So if you go after the webinar, if you go to the wiki page and you see what these two countries have done, then in Estonian case, you will see a description from Laura, who is working in her region and has described the plans that they are going to proceed and follow with in their region. In Estonia, we should have 3 other plans coming up. So these 3 would also be added to the wiki of the Estonian page, but the descriptions of what the other regions will be working with. And together, this is the development plan for Estonia that has been coordinated with the national with the ERICA member. If you go and see what Laura has written, then this is a very good general overview of what they are planning to do in the city of Tartu. And as I know a bit more about the background, so for me, there is a lot of information in there already that I know that is there, but maybe for you is not visible. So there is a lot of kind of background which Laura has written based on the existing work that they have done with the network, with the partners that they have. It's not starting from scratch, but there are many activities that have kind of helped Laura to write this overview. And actually, if I can give one suggestion, then if you are writing your development plans, I would actually encourage you to go into more detail. Um, so that the others who maybe are struggling with understanding what to write here or there could follow your example. For instance, when you're describing your partners, or when you're describing how have you come to understand that this training course is needed. So instead of saying that we have a partner network that we're working with, but if you, for instance, could name who these partners are, so we would get this collection of European best practice all in one place that is visible for everybody, and that we could also learn from each other. But the way that Laura has written her part is very well done, because it gives a very good overview. In the Spanish example, they have started a bit differently. So they have taken all the training courses and they are analyzing so who the potential participants to the courses could be, and also what these courses are about. So they are trying to match the kind of overall objective of this or the other course with the participants that they want to see on the course. This is also a very good approach. It's a more kind of work in progress, because at the moment we don't see the whole picture, but we see a start, and a very good kind of strong point of this approach is that our Spanish colleagues have kind of analyzed, so who is the participant profile that they want to see in there. And what I would suggest in doing here, region by region, area by area, so choose the first one that is very likely that you will work on, and start developing the plan on the wiki page. You have these questions. In the situation that we are in, the third question, what is the timeline, can be a very tricky one, because we don't actually know whether the timeline that we have spoken about, let's say a month ago, is still an existing timeline. And it's perfectly okay kind of not to know these things, but you can focus on the other plan, on the other points of the plan. So going into more details, perhaps with the content, with the partners, the needs that you're addressing. And you have written some of these things already in the previous exercises in module 1, because if you remember, there was a forum exercise in, so what are the last updates, or are there any other news, any other updates? So if you have already done this, then bring it all together on the wiki page. And yeah, I'm reading the comments that I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce the name. I would say Doshia. Maybe I do it incorrectly, but you have written that Cyprus is also now online, so very good with that. So take the work that you have done and kind of go into with more details, and write it in the wiki page. As a kind of concluding remark, what we see from the Spanish colleagues is a very good question that they posted. So now that they have analyzed the different training courses, then there is a question that, okay, as Jimmy and Intro are similar in content, but Jimmy is a more easy way, because it's not as long as Intro, it's not as detailed as Intro, but it's more an introductory. I'm reading what Miga is saying. Okay, so as it's more an introductory kind of course to youth information work, so maybe it's easier to start from that. And then as there's a lot of learning from doing Jimmy, so maybe it's good to proceed from there to intro. I would say that there are pros and cons in that approach, because yes, if Jimmy is what you think you should do, definitely go and do this. If you think that, okay, you have a choice between Jimmy and intro, and maybe we'll do Jimmy first because this is maybe easier, then yes, this is an argument that supports this thinking. But on the other hand, for Jimmys who are everybody who is not a youth worker, but they work with young people. So we have teachers, we have medical staff, we have police, we have other kind of related organizations who see young people as clients. So if they get the training, but then they have questions, then usually their reference point are youth workers. And if the youth workers have not been trained in youth information work, then Jimmys are kind of in the air with their question, because youth information workers or youth workers do not know how to help them. So this is something that I would encourage you to consider, that if you're making your choice, so which will you do first, Jimmy or intro? But this is a very valid question, so this is why I put it also out here. And as to the other development plans, so I can give my feedback in 2 weeks from now, because what we would like you to do is to get the development plans up on the wiki page by, so 2 weeks from now, so by the 12th of April. We are not quite sure how, at the moment, I mean, how the e-learning phase as such will continue. Imre, from Erica's behalf, I know that he's working on putting together information package. So this will come, and we are having a trainers meeting in a few days. So you will have more information in terms of how to work further on. But at the moment, the deadline for the development plans is the 12th of April, so that we could give feedback to them. But there is more information coming. This is what I can tell now. But yeah, so with the development plans, let's work in the time frame, with the time frame of the 12th of April. So moving on, I don't have anything to add about the development plan. So if you have any questions, then please do write them in the forum, and then I can come back to this. But basically, it is doing the work that you have done in the previous phases, transferring it to the wiki page, so we would have it all in one place, and then answering the 5 questions that you also see on the wiki page. So if we go on with the advanced intro group projects, then it has been absolutely great to see that there are so many exercises already up in Moodle, and that you have really taken the last days to get active with advanced intro, kind of get into the manual and brainstorm in how do I, as part of my smaller group, so how do we design the activities online? This is the timetable that I showed you last time that we were together in the webinar, and I changed the deadlines in here. So today we are in the 30th of March. So basically by today, the activities of the groups that we're working on them should be ready and up in Moodle. Then we have 1 week, which is until the 5th of April. And this is the week for you to choose one session that is designed by someone else and participate on this session. And at the same time, if there are people who are joining in your in the session that you describe, you created with your group, So within this 1 week, please do facilitate the session that you designed. And then the participation facilitation, this comes to the end. And then we have 1 week left, which will be about feedback. I will write more about the feedback, so after the 5th of April, so you would know what you have to do. But as an introduction, I can already present to you kind of two perspectives. So what is it that we are giving feedback to, or how are we thinking about the feedback that we should give? And I kind of made two slides, so lens 1 and lens 2. And this is something that, so the lens 1, this is something that we have spoken about quite a lot also on the webinars. If you go into the e-learning guides course, then the e-learning guides gives kind of a good summary of how the e-learning courses and exercises should be built. So I wrote this in a forum post as well, but if you're thinking of the session that you have built, and if you're thinking of the session that you are going to participate and you are going to give feedback to, so these are a few key points in here, what you can have in mind. So is it built as a collaborative learning so that you see what other people do and you see also how they do this? How do other participants solve the exercises? Is it done in a collaborative way? Is it done through co-creation so that you do it together with other participants? You create knowledge together and you learn from each other's perspectives. Is it done in a constructive way, meaning that it's problem-based and it has different activities, and also that it includes previous experience, so that you connect what you have learned from earlier in your work, but you connect that to the topic. And so whether this has been designed into an exercise or not. How is the trainer present and what is the role? Because what we are aiming with the Erica courses is kind of this coaching pedagogy, so that the trainer, the e-trainer, is there to facilitate and ask questions, but also that the exercises have to be built the way that they ask questions and they kind of stimulate thinking rather than saying how to do things correctly. Is it based on the needs of the learner? I mean, this is maybe a bit difficult at this stage, but if we, there is a lot of discussion that has happened with intra and digital intra training forums. Many people have asked, so can we adjust the courses to our realities? What if our examples are different? And actually, this is exactly what we mean in here, learner-centered, that it's not a course or kind of combination of sessions that the participants, you know, they kind of hit on their head with a course, but it, from the sessions, it's visible that the trainers know who the participants are and what are their needs, so that the exercises, the sessions, they're kind of contextualized based on the profile of the learner. And I understand that this is a bit difficult in our case, but still to have it in mind for future reference. So I wrote it down in here. And then the most important question, is it clear what you have to do? Like when you read through the exercise, do you understand what the material is about, what the task is about, what are you supposed to learn? How, is it clear? And this is a key crucial element, because if it's not clear, then everything else doesn't make any sense anyway. So this is one lens to have in mind when when we go into evaluating and giving feedback to the sessions. Then another thing, and this is now for from the quality guidelines. So if you go into the e-learning guide, then section 3.1.4 is quality checklist for ERIC online courses, and this is a copy paste from there. So going back again to the learner-centeredness. So if you think in the context of a session, so did it suit my needs? What kind of skills did it develop? Did I develop any transferable skills? What about the learning materials? The activities and learning materials, were they appropriate? In my opinion, e-trainers promoted good, creative atmosphere and critical thinking. The web activities were accessible, usable, and reliable. Because sometimes exercises, I haven't gone through what you've written, but sometimes exercises, for instance, when they bring in other software, so they encourage you to leave the platform because you need to fill in a form in there, and etc. So all in all, everything might not function. So you may have these points for in your evaluation, and also I am satisfied with information and guidance provided. So how during the course, but also during the session. So what is the communication that is going on within the participants on the course, but also from the trainer's perspective. So these are, I draw your attention to the fact that these are on the course level. So if we talk about advanced intro, then if we were to kind of audit the course as such, then these would be the questions to answer. But there are some in here that you can actually also take to the session level and think about the session as such. So from these two slides, I will combine a kind of a feedback questionnaire, and the feedback, I will give further instructions, but the feedback will be in the forum where you signed up for what session you will want to work on, etc. But in a week from now, I will come back with more details about that. But this is for now, kind of to have in mind when you start getting active in the exercises. Let's move on. Yes, let's move on here. So
Yeah.
a few.
Okay. Yes, just go on.
Okay. So a few things to note in here is that we have received feedback on how the sessions have been built. And I made this screenshot in here, and there are two things in here. So if you see the way that you can build sessions, so when you first saw the page of Advanced Intro, you saw four headlines: Area 1, Area 2, Area 3. And this is the topic level. So some of you have added additional topics and then created their sessions inside the topic. You see the Area 1, and then after Area 1, you see Session 1.1, Advanced Communication Skills. I would ask you to change that so that, because the topic is kind of the higher level title, and in order for us to structure the course, we have usually in the ERICA courses used the titles only for the areas. And if you go in the area, then if you want to kind of catch attention for your session, then you can use, when you click on this add an activity resource, you can, for instance, use label, or you could also just use whatever activity you've chosen. Usually it's a forum. So please change that. Yes, I already see Jan is writing, so thank you. And with this particular session, I would at the moment encourage you also to look at it. So, do you understand what needs to be done? And I see that you have also chosen to organize a webinar. So, please also think whether in 1 week you have time to do this webinar, or maybe there is another way of organizing this. Just a suggestion to think about this, but definitely think about the clarity, that whether it's visible, what is it that you have to do as a participant. And for everybody else, the same thing. So today you still have time to edit if you need to. So make sure that people understand, what do you ask them to do? What are you asking them to do? What else do I have about advanced intro? Yes, this was it. So from today onwards starts the participating and facilitating bit. Have fun, enjoy. If you want to update your exercises, please do it today, so that from basically from tomorrow onwards, you have a week to complete the exercises as participants. Choose one that you have not designed for participation. Okay, Mika. Yes, and then the third point is now a bit kind of a conclusive feedback of exercises that were concerning the YOMIM training course. So I have discussed the development plans, advanced intro, and now I will do a short summary of the YOMIM. So I have followed all of your discussions, and you have pointed out very crucial kind of details about the YOMIM course. So very, very briefly, what makes YOMIM a specific course, now that you have analyzed and gone through it, is the fact that it's not that much about youth information work skills. So we don't learn about the Youth Information Charter, we don't learn how to answer inquiries in youth information work, etc. But it's very specifically about the topic of mobility. And within the YOMIM concept, there is a lot of discussion, and kind of throughout the training course, what the training course is actually trying to do is to build up this concept that for young people, either before, during, or after their mobility experience, these YOMIM guides and YOMIM centers would be a bit like home away from home. So that when young people go abroad, they have the familiar face, and they have this YOMIM guide who is trained to support the young people, is trained to be a contact person, and in some cases also kind of this taking up the capacity as a mentor. And from your discussions, there are a number, kind of couple of things that came out which are very important. So the first part, so who in my context of my region, my town, my kind of area should be trained as YOMIM. Some of you mentioned tourist offices, and some of you mentioned youth centers, youth information centers. Both are very valid examples, because it really depends on the kind of local context and local situation. But if you think of the tourist office versus youth center, so, and we think about this home away from home, so which characterizes home away from home more for a young person? Is it the tourist office, or is it the very comfy youth center, for instance? And this also kind of gives continues the thinking that as a YOMIM guide, do we want to see someone who is a city kind of in an administrative post working as an official. So from 9 to 5 in an office, and when the clock gets 5, then the person leaves the office. Or is it a youth worker in a youth center? Sometimes youth centers, well, not all youth centers, but for instance, if a youth center, there are examples where youth centers are put together with hostels, youth hostels. So should it be a place where the young person can play pool and have a place to socialize with people, and maybe as an adult young person also maybe have a beer together with other people. So, you know, there are these questions when we speak about Yomim training course and the Yomim network, and it's not that one is right or the other is wrong, but just to demonstrate that this is a very different training course in the ERICA training system. And when you deliver this, these are some of the things that I mean, when we deliver this, these are some of the things that we need to be aware of. And then also, what I didn't write in here, but also there was a question about potential connections to the existing programs and services. For instance, everything concerning Erasmus Plus, and for instance, also Eurodesk network. This is very valid thinking point, and I guess the key in here is how the Yomim guides collaborate with the existing services, so that young people who do not have a program that supports them, they are not coming through an Erasmus Plus exchange or student semester, etc., etc. But maybe they're young people who have left their country and gone to a different country to look for better job, better life, etc. So how do we support these young people and kind of create this home away from home feeling for them? And this is all from my side, also with the Yomim course. If you have any questions or comments, then please write them in the chat, and I will now give the floor to Mika.
Thank you, Hannes. I will put up the slides I used there, and I will continue. I have a couple of things about the Jimmy activities and reflections. First of all, I want to thank you, a lot of those who from the group volunteered to facilitate the activities. Can you hear me now? Margareta is saying that she lost sound. Okay, so it's yeah, all right. So those who volunteered to facilitate the Jimmy and Yomim activities. So I think you all who have been active on those Jimmy and Yomim activities have noticed that you have got response and feedback on your comments very quickly, and comments to all activities. Then I read all the posts that you had on those two Jimmy activities, and a couple of reflections. Generally, when we talk about the ERICA training courses, so please pay attention always on the target group. Which is the course is planned to. Yintro has its own target group, as well Digital Yintro, Advanced Yintro, and especially Jimmy and Yomim courses. They have different kind of target groups. And if I think those two different processes, when we were years ago, when we have been designing Jimmy course to Erika context, and also the Yomin course to the Erika context. So all the activities, objectives, and learning outcomes starts from the learner-centered thinking, and what is the need of what are the needs of the target group in these specific courses, subjects, and issues around these courses. Jimmy course originally it was a Dutch course, which has been the original idea was to train youth workers working in youth clubs and on doing street work to use more and better existing youth information services in around Netherlands, especially if I remember correct. So it was in Rotterdam where this program started, and yeah, there was they noticed that there is a specific need or a lack of knowledge in among youth workers. They didn't know enough about the youth information services, existing youth information services, so that they could have referred the young people in different information needs to youth information services that were then more deep into subjects, issues, topics that young people were asking information about and needing advising and counseling. So the target group, think about those. Also, the objectives and learning outcomes. I think that you will learn during the years, and the more you come familiar with all these different courses, so you will, if I would come and wake you up and ask what is the target group of Yintro and what is the difference to Yomim, so you would have your answers right away. So you need also time to that, but especially in the beginning, pay attention to it. And then what is also a very crucial point, if you are contacted in your city or region or in your country to run a youth information training. So the first thing that you should start with is who are those who will participate? Is there a clear target group and the needs? So define the needs and the target group of the training. So then you will find the right training course to use with that group. For example, in my daily job in Finnish National Coordination Center for Youth Information, so we get a lot of contacts where people are asking that we want to have a general youth information course to our group. But even they ask, for example, a general youth information course, which would be quite soon you would start to think that, okay, Yintro, it is. But then when you go deeper and deeper to the needs and what the people do, what those who participate, what are the tasks in the youth work setting, so then you will quite soon notice that there might be also some other possibilities as Jimmy. From the comments, from your posts, from your inputs, I want to stress the point that Jimmy, it's kind of youth information mediator. Now have I spelled that? Yeah, I think I have spelled that correct. Yeah, a mediator. So yeah, Jimmy program, Jimmys, you can see them also as a tools or as a tool in youth work. and also a tool for all who work among young people. It does not necessarily need to be a youth worker. It can be a librarian in a library who specially works with young people in library. We have had in Finland social workers. Well, we have different youth work context and social work. Those are separate things, but that's an possibility. Social worker. We have had even staff members from schools who work with students and pupils with learning disabilities, participating in Jimmy courses. And yeah, so you can use the Jimmy course in very many contexts. You need to take a bit, be brave and take yourself a bit out from the youth information setting and think that this is something that could help or bring more young people to those existing youth information services. Are they then online or digital or face-to-face services? But it is Jimmy has a kind of role there between. Yeah, a role between two different services. Then pay attention also. Quite many of you had mentioned that Jimmy course is less hours than Yintro, for example. Yes, it is less hours. There are a bit different hours in the face-to-face and e-learning settings. This is because the e-learning course was planned later on, and we changed a bit the system in the training system, the length of the courses in hours, but you just need to pay attention to the program, to the suggested minimum hours, and think also if you would like to run it face-to-face or e-learning as an e-learning course. In Jimmy, from my experience, Jimmy course is I have to be honest and say that it's very challenging to run it in as an e-learning course, and that's because there is a lot of communication and countering exercises. So I have done Jimmy several times as an e-learning course, but or each time when we are collecting the feedback, so the participants notice that there were exercises that would have been more effective and successful if they would have had possibility to do them in face-to-face environment. Yes, and now let's see if you have any comments or questions, so please ask. Yeah, Hannes has asked a very good question, and these kind of questions you need to always there is not kind of ready answer, but with the information that you get, the basic information that you have from the participants, so that plays very crucial role when you are choosing a course. But that's all from the Jimmy course that I wanted to say. And yeah, is there something, Hannes, that you would like to add at this point, or participants there online. So if you want to ask about Jimmy, Yomim, or advanced intro, please type your questions in the chat. Okay, it seems that there is no questions or comments at the moment. Yes, let's move on. We have 5 questions to you all, and then based on we will frame them or broadcast the question. We give you some minutes time to type your replies, and then we reflect on these questions, and we are using the poll, which is I think it's familiar to you all already. At this point, we have used this activity in the previous webinars this spring. So first of all, there is a question that reflects a bit to the development plans that you have been working with. So how do you think, how has the e-learning phase, this e-learning course, helped you to design content to the development plans? And this is the first question. Please type your answers, and yes, this is in context of 5 training courses. So Yintro, Digital Intro, Advanced Intro, Jimmy, and Yomi. How has e-learning helped you to design content to the development plans that you have been working in groups? All right, we start to get replies. Hannes, you have read the development plans this far. Do you want to start to comment and make some micro conclusions at this point?
Yes, Mika, thank you. So well, what we have tried to do with this second e-learning phase is to find a way through different exercises, really to break down the training manuals so you would understand what is behind each training course. And from what I see from the forum discussions, and if I compare it to kind of the first drafts of the ideas for the development plans, then it is quite, I mean, it is visible that the training courses are starting to form kind of a sequence in your head. And I'm talking, if I say in your head, I'm talking in very general, on a very general level, because I remember, for instance, quite a few comments from the earlier stages of the development plans that, you know, we want to start with YOMIM, or that we do digital intro and advanced intro because we have experienced youth workers, etc., etc. And I mean, again, this is something that I speak about all the time in every webinar, and I also dream about this sometimes. This is a joke, but in a way that there is a sequence for the training courses, and usually you get better results when you start with intro, because now we also had this discussion about intro versus Jimmy, and exactly for the reason that Jimmy is not for youth workers. So how do you manage then kind of the whole system that you have trained not youth workers, but you have not trained youth workers / youth information workers? So there is a sequence in the trainings, and it's easier to start from the foundation. In some cases, in some countries, they have already been intros, so it may be logical to continue with digital intro. But I guess from this e-learning phase, the point has really been that you make the sequence in your head. Like, are you ready for advanced intro? Is your target group the needs that they have? Do you actually know your target group well enough that they are ready for the advanced intro? Because we haven't spoken about advanced intro content wise, but as you have seen through the design, it is a very different training course again from intro and digital intro, because it's not that much about the basic skills, but it is about different models, comparing different models, kind of these conceptual ideas. And yeah, I'm just very happy to see that you are clicking with these points. Yeah.
All right. This is, let's close this question. Thanks, Hannes, and we'll take the second one. Just a second. Okay, you have now gone through the 5 different training programs. So what do you think? Which training program is the most challenging to deliver, and why do you think so? And you can again type your replies in the small box, and then the answers are broadcasted on the screen. So which training program is most challenging to deliver, and why do you think so? Let's Yes, while you are typing your replies and answers, so there is a very good comment about Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy can be challenging, and I can tell you that I have faced these challenges, the same challenge in with the Jimmy training course each time I have run it, and the challenge is always that um, to make people understand the importance, the use of youth information and counseling. So uh, you need to be prepared. Um, Not maybe defend is a bit strong, but you need to be sure, and you need to be clear with the definition of youth information and counseling, what it is, what its place is, why it is important, what are the differences if you think youth work that you have in the youth work you do in youth clubs, youth houses, youth centers, on the street. So, of course, information, delivery of information, advising, guidance, and counseling as methods are used very generally in this society. But why is youth information, for example, different from a discussion that takes place in a youth club? So you need to be very clear and sure about the role and what youth information is, and also to know a bit more that um, it's a bit more for the, yeah, you need to know a bit more youth work. Um, then yeah, Jimmy is mentioned quite many times. Also, Yomim is here mentioned because, well, Yomim is very different kind of. It has a different approach, and that can be the reason why you can feel it to be a bit challenging. Yeah, and Hannes is asking which is the most challenging for me. So that's a good question. Each course, Erica training course, they have their own challenging parts, but I could maybe it is the in Jimmy during the Jimmy courses I have faced most challenges with the participants. So that could be the one for, I would say, it's not difficult. You manage it. It's about the work you do, which you're familiar with. But then um, the differences, the different audience, different group of participants, that makes it a bit challenging. What about Hannes, you? What is most challenging for you?
For me, the most challenging has been advanced intro because it is difficult as a course as such to train. And also sometimes what has happened or what does happen in the trainings is, for instance, you have a client, let's say, I don't know, a local authority, and they ask you to come and deliver a training, and they tell you that they want this training. And then you go there, you don't know who the participants are, you don't know the level of the participants, and for instance, they have asked to deliver an advanced intro. This has happened to me.
Hannes, we lost you. You switched off your microphone.
Oh, sorry. So I was saying advanced intro because sometimes you get the group and the group has no idea what is youth information work, and then you are facing with the advanced intro training, which really builds on the previous trainings and is kind of meant for the managers, and then you have to work your way through the training with participants who don't know the subject, and this is very tricky. Yep.
Okay. And now I notice that we are a bit short of time. So let's take a third question, which is a question that who are the Yomim guides in your city, region, country? Who could they be? We discussed already a bit the roles of Yomim and yeah, who could be Yomim guides in your country or in your region or in your city or in your youth work organization? There is youth workers working with youth mobility are mentioned. Who else? Youth workers in general. Yeah, that's true. Youth workers in general have a lot of a big role for those young people who go abroad on any with in any kind of in inside of a program or independently. So they have a big role. Just generally people who work with youth, not only youth workers. Yeah. Any others who want to? Well, youth information centers generally. A very good point. Yomim program, Youth on the Move, Infomobility program and the guides. That one of the starting points in the training program was that how can Youth Information Center, a youth information service, support those young people who are on the move, traveling, generally just, for example, Interrail, or just wanting to go abroad for some months or for a longer period. Okay, next question then. Who are the Jimmies then? Who do you think that could be the Jimmy? If you think your city, community, region, your country, where you come from, who could be those who are participating a Jimmy training? I think you have got quite many hints already during this when we were reflecting to when I was reflecting to the Jimmy activities. So we have there a question: who are or who could be the Jimmys in your city, region, country? Are we getting any replies or answers on this? Yes, great. Yes, great. You are mentioning many occupations, many different kind of professionals working among youth and with young people. So as I said earlier, so Jimmy is a really training and really good possibility to build bridges between youth information services and different forms of youth work, different youth work activities, and with different organizations. Different different organizations providing services to young people or working with young people. All right, because we are now running soon out of time, I'll broadcast the last question, which is a question which you might a bit think that what is this? But we are asking you that which training, a training session, would you like to run as a micro-teaching session in coming face-to-face training? And mention even your name. So if you now think the all 5 training courses, and if you think that we are going to organize in the last part of the training of trainers, so there will be micro teaching sessions, which is a kind of, you will in a short time you will run a session from these training courses. So from which training session would you like to run a session in the next face-to-face training, which you will get more information from Erika office in coming days? And you can think intro, digital intro, you can think advanced intro, Jimmy Yomim. Which training, which would be most, which session would you like to most to run as a micro teaching session to your other training, to the other participants? So Pepe and Nicholas both would like to run a session from Yomi. Any other wishes? And Lara would like to have a session from Jimmy or Yintro. I will leave this poll open now so you can type and write there. So Dubravko from Jimmy or Yomi. So you can now choose and think which would be sessions for you. While those who are left, so while you are typing your wishes, Tanya, I'm sorry, Altio is not among these 5 courses. Altio is one of the Erica courses, but it's not such kind of training course that it would be now among these. So Yintro, digital or advanced Yintro, Yimim or Yomim. So, okay, you were quick in your changing. Great. So, we are coming to the end of this webinar. You can still type your wishes. Person who wrote Yomim or Altio, so please type also your name. So yeah, Doxia, thanks. So we can then recognize you. Hannes, is there something that you would like to take up now when we are starting to get to the close to the finishing this webinar for today?
So as this is our last webinar, I would encourage you to use the forum if you need any help from our side, because we will continue as we have proceeded until now. So on the background, we are going through everything that you have written, commenting on some things, keeping an eye on what is going on. But if you need any help, then please do let us know. And especially as this is the last webinar. And also, as I said before, so there is information coming in the end of this week on how to survive basically the weeks and months until the second residential. So stay tuned and let us know if you need any help. This is all from my side. Thank you.
Thanks, Hannes. And yes, also from my side, so follow the information that you will get in the end of the week. So now you are in a point that third or fourth or 3/4, 75% of the training of trainers, the activities is there, and you have the one face-to-face training left. You have a couple of weeks time to 1 week to participate a advanced intro activity, and then to give feedback, and then it's also of course good time to catch up with those activities that you have not managed to complete yet. There was a question before this webinar that from where to start. The course generally has been built in a logical order. So the logical order to finish the course is of course to start from the activities in the beginning, but now we have had also quite the big group activities in the middle. So those who are still in the middle of completing activities, so you should be able to work with group activities and individual activities at the same time. So I hope that you will find a balance, and please do not overthink. Hannes and me, we have been mentioning this very many times, that please do not overthink. Just start to do and work. So that's a good way to complete the activities that you still have there left. And yeah, thanks to you all, those who have been here participating today, and also, of course, all who have been active during the whole course. It's been great to work with you, and we are there with Hannes until 12th April, and use the come and ask and communicate what are your needs, how we could still help you to finish the e-learning second e-learning phase, and even the first e-learning phase, which if you have something there which is uncompleted. All right. I think, Hannes, we are ready and ready for today.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Thank you, and stay safe.
Yes, stay safe, and if you have any thing that because of the virus, so do not hesitate to contact and tell us. Yeah, it can be a personal things also, but we are, Hannes and me, we of course we understand that this virus is causing quite a lot of challenges in many people's daily lives. So if you want to share and want to let us know why you do not have possibility to be so active, so just let us know. We are there to help you.